Vine was an ordinary girl with dreams and aspirations living in a small yet bustling city. Her life was simple, revolving around her family, studies, and friends. One fateful evening, as she walking home from university, she took a shortcut through an alley she usually avoided. The sun had just set, casting long shadows and an airy glow in the narrow passageway. As Ryan hurried through, she stumbled over a loose brick, almost lose her balance. That's when she saw him, Jungkook. He leaned against the wall, his dark clothes blending into the shadows. His sharp features were highlighted by the dim light, and his eyes, intense and watchful, looked onto hers. "Are you lost?" Jungkook asked, his voice low and smooth, resonating with authority. Vine tried to hide her fear, her heart pounding in her chest. "No, just taking a shortcut," she replied, her voice trembling slightly. She clutched her bag tightly, ready to run if needed. Jungkook's expression softened. "If only a moment. Be careful. This is not a safe place for someone like you." Ryan nodded, his mouth dry. She quickly walked away, her steps hurried and uneven. As she exited the alley, she glanced back once more, finding Jungkook still watching her. The encounter left her shaken, but also inexplicably conscious about the mysterious man she had just met. Days turned into weeks, and Ryan could not get Jungkook out of her mind. She began to see him more frequently, though always from a distance. She learned that he was trying to escape his violent past, but found it nearly impossible. One evening, as she sat at her favorite cafe, she saw him again. This time, he approached her. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, standing by her table with an air of casual confidence. Ryan looked up surprised but also intrigued. "Sure," she murmured, gesturing to the empty seat across from her. They talked for hours, and Ryan saw a side of Jungkook that he rarely showed, valuable, introspective, and longing for a different life. He shared stories of his past, the decision that led him into the underworld, and his desire to leave it all behind. "I have done things I am not proud of," Jungkook admitted, his eyes clouded with remorse. "But meeting you has made me want to change." Vian reached out, her hand gently covering his. "Everyone deserves a second chance, Jungkook. You can start anew." Jungkook looked at her, hope twinkling in his eyes. "You really think so?" "I know so," Vian replied with a reassuring smile. Their meetings became regular, and slowly Jungkook began to open up to her. He started making small changes, distancing himself from the mafia's oppression and finding salons in Van's company. Just as Jungkook started to believe in a future away from crime, Taehyung, his closest friend and ally in the mafia, come back into his life. Taehyung was charming and charismatic, but his loyalty to the mafia was unwavering. "Jungkook, we need you back," Taehyung said one night. "I'm done with this life. Taehyung, I have found something someone would change for," Jungkook replied, thinking of Ryan. Taehyung's eyes narrowed, his expression hardening. "No one leave Jungkook Ryan now that." Jungkook knew Taehyung was right. The mafia did not let go easily, but he also knew he had to protect Ryan from the darkness that intended to consume him. Despite the looming threat, Jungkook and Ryan grew closer. She saw the goodness in him and believed in his capacity for change. Her love gave him hope, and he started distancing himself from the mafia's oppression, much to Taehyung's displeasure. One evening, as they sat by the river, Jungkook turned to Ian. I want to live this life for you. Will you be with me? Wan smiled, tears in her eyes. Ian, Jungkook, together we can build a new life. Their happiness, however, was short-lived. When parents discovered her relationship with Jungkook and were vehemently opposed. They had already arranged for her to marry someone from a respectable family. One was torn between her love for Jungkook and her duty to her family. Fine, please don't do this, Jungkook pleaded, his voice breaking. We can find a way. I love you, Jungkook. Ryan sobbed, but I can't hurt my family. They need me. With a heavy heart, Ryan broke off their relationship and married the man her parents chose. Jungkook was devastated, his hopes shattered. Taehyung, seeing his friend's pain, tried to comfort him. You did what you could, Jungkook, but something are beyond our control. Come back to where you belong. Reluctantly, Jungkook returned to the mafia, his heart cold and his spirit broken. Here, Parch and Ryan's marriage was far from happy. She often thought of Jungkook and the life they could have had. One day, she received a terrifying call. Her husband had been kidnapped by a rival mafia gang. Desperate, she sought out the only person who could help. Please, they have taken him. I need your help. Ryan begged, finding him in the shadow of the city. Jungkook's eyes softened as he looked at her. Despite everything, he could not deny the love he still felt. I will do it for you. Jungkook and Taehyung planned a rescue mission. They knew it was dangerous, but Jungkook was determined to save Ryan's husband. In the ensuing choice, Jungkook found himself face to face with the gang leader. Fires battle in short, and just as the leader aimed his gun at Viona's her husband, Jungkook stepped in front of the bullet. Vine rushed to Jungkook's side as he lay bleeding. Why? Why, Jungkook? Why did you do this? Because, because I loved you, Ryan, Jungkook whispered, his voice fondling. I wanted to give you the chance of happiness, even if it's not with me. Tears streamed down Vine's face as he held him. You are always been my hero, Jungkook. Thank you. As Jungkook took his last breath, the young arrived and saw his friend's lifeless body filled with rage and grief. The young vowed to protect Ryan and her husband from any further harm. Ryan's life was forever changed by Jungkook's sacrifice. She never forget the love they shared and the man who gave his life to save her. Though they could not be together, Jungkook's legacy lived on in her heart, a testament to the power of love and redemption.